her refusal even to allow occasions of betrayal and cruelty to restrain her optimism, I sensed a great and passionate commitment to life and to loving that many associate with spirituality. For some, religion and spirituality are about sin and damnation, repression and restriction, fundamental laws to be accepted without interpretation. For others, they are about community and connectedness. For some, spirituality is love, and above all, a sense of responsibility enabled by love. Eleanor Roosevelt frequently spoke and wrote about what spirituality meant to her. She participated in an undefined ethic that embraced the world community. It was not about fear and damnation, or about specific knowledge or duty. Rather, in the infinite extent of the universe, it is a direction of the heart. This is not to imply that Eleanor Roosevelt was more a mystic than an activist. For almost 50 years, she was a very tough politician, entirely at home in the smoke-filled rooms where deals were made on a daily and nasty basis. Above all, she was the leading woman politician, actually the women's boss of the Democratic Party. Although she later denied her share of power and influence, throughout her lifetime she was honored for her role by the women she most immediately influenced and empowered. One gets a sense of E.R.'s political understanding in the timeless advice she offered to women working in politics in 1936. She said, "You cannot take anything personally. You cannot bear grudges. You must finish the day's work when the day's work is done. You cannot get discouraged too easily. You have to take defeat over and over again and pick up and go on. Be sure of your facts. Argue the other side with a friend until you have found the answer to every point which might be brought up against you. Women who are willing to be leaders must stand out and be shot at. More and more they are going to do it, and more they should do it. Above all, E.R. insisted, every political woman needs to develop skin as tough as rhinoceros hide." After 1920, she joined the world of post-suffrage feminist activists, notably Esther Lape and Elizabeth Reed, who lived in Greenwich Village. Like Louis Howe, the only friend she fully shared with FDR, E.R.'s best friends were public women and men, concerned as she was with the great events of political life. One of her first intimates, Louis Howe encouraged and supported E.R.'s personal and public quests. His counsel and advice, with that of Lape and Reed, enabled her to realize the full range of her political interests and skills. Later, other friends, like Nancy Cook, Marion Dickerman, and Caroline O'Day, involved her in publishing, teaching, and business enterprises. Some, like Bernard Baruch, protected her from the treachery of political sharks and financially supported the social causes that most moved her. Others, like Earl Miller and Lorena Hickok, were there for her alone and devoted themselves to her interests. Bodyguard and squire, Miller protected E.R., filled her home with music and laughter, built her a tennis court, and taught her to dive. Hick was responsible for E.R.'s decision to hold affirmative action press conferences for women journalists only, and encouraged E.R. to write what became one of the most popular syndicated columns in the country, My Day. E.R.'s friends influenced her politically as she influenced them. Mary McLeod Bethune, Walter White, Lillian Smith, and Pauli Murray moved her further along the road in the civil rights struggle than she might otherwise have traveled. Her young friends, in the leadership of the anti-fascist student movement, notably Joseph Cadden, Trudy Pratt, and Joseph Lash, allowed her to consider the dimensions of radical anti-fascism and to understand the perils of communist loyalties with more personal concern than she otherwise could have done. Her own shift away from a rather crude anti-Semitism and casual race consciousness depended significantly on her friendships with radical Jewish students, as well as with her contemporary friends, Eleanor and Henry Morgenthau, and with Carrie Chapman Catt, who in August 1933 organized a Christian woman's protest against